I used to have like these little parties on the weekends called Nerd Game Night. And basically, we would sit around and play a lot of tabletop games. I don't mean tabletop games like Monopoly or Life or stuff like that. These games, most of them require a lot more time and they're pretty complex. I haven't had Nerd Game Night in forever and I really miss it. But I wanted to talk about some of my top 5 favorite tabletop games. Top 5 favorite tabletop games. That's really hard to say. Number 5 is Carcassonne. Carcassonne is now on Xbox Live, which is, it's kind of better because you don't have to do all the cleanup and the game tells you where you can put your tiles and everything down. But there's something a little bit awesome still about pulling out all the tiles and playing the actual tabletop version. Carcassonne, for those who haven't played, in my opinion, it's better with 2 players, and it can take maybe about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, I guess, if you're first starting out. And the overall goal of the game is you randomly pick tiles, and then you have to play the tile as soon as you get it. And you're trying to build different things: fortresses, roads, fields, wells, and you're just trying to like build them. That seems really easy, right? But it's difficult because of the tile you get could be completely random. You might be trying to build a fortress, but then you just get a tile that just has a road. So you have all these different little pieces and different sections of things that you're building, all that you're working on. Some are worth more points. Now, if they're not finished by the end of the game, then, you get all your points from finishing your things. But the bigger they are or the longer they are, the more points you get. So it's super strategic where you're trying to build things, but then again, you're also wanting to lay down some tiles to mess up what your opponent is trying to build. So if you mess up something and they can't build it, that's points that they won't be able to get. It's a lot of fun. It is, again, very strategic. I find it better with a small group of people. And it's just a game that doesn't require a whole lot of thought, but just enough to where you're still having a good time and you can just kind of hang out and play the game. Number 4 is Mystery of the Abbey. I love Mystery of the Abbey because it's kind of like Clue, but kind of not. So basically, there's been a murder. A monk has been murdered, and you and all the other players who are monks as well had to figure out who did it. You do that by moving around the board and asking the other players questions. See, sounds a lot like Clue. But where it's not like Clue is you can ask any player any question. But the questions you ask are kind of like that old game you'd play in the road where you'd flip up the pictures. I think it was called Who's Who, where you ask, is he bald? Is he wearing a robe? Does he have a mustache? Stuff like that to figure out who the murderer is. Now, when you ask a player a question, they can either answer or they can plead the fifth and not answer. But the benefits of answering is if they answer you, they can then in return ask you a question as well. It's all just a game of deduction, and I enjoy the hell out of it. For me, it's best with 5 players, and it can take about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to play. My third favorite game is Citadels. Citadels is not really a board game, it's more of a card game, but it's still a tabletop game. For me, it's best with about 5 players, and it can take more than an hour to finish. The goal is basically building buildings, and you want to be the first person to reach the 8th building. But each building has different points, so you can get to 8 and have buildings that are just worth like 1 or 2 tiles or 1 or 2 tokens and not win the game. But the strategic part of it is that at each round, each player picks a character card. So each round you play a different character. Each character has different bonuses, skills, and powers they can use. And each person wants to pick a character that's bonus or power is best used for what they're trying to accomplish. Example, the assassin can eliminate a character from the round, the thief can steal money from a character, and so forth. But the really cool aspect of that is you don't know which character each person is picking. So the king goes first and discards one of the character cards. One of the character cards, no one's going to know which one the king is picking to discard. And then he hands the cards over in kind of an order, and everybody picks the character they want to be for that round secretively. Now each of the cards have a number on them as well, so when it's their turn to go, you go numerically. Citadels is great because it's really good for people starting out in the tabletop games, and it's a really good starter game to get everybody kind of in the mood. But also, it can get really deep and really strategic, so it's great for people who have been playing for years, who have been played many, many times. Every time you play, it's a different experience because of the complete randomness of each round. My second favorite is Shadows over Camelot. Best played with, I'd say, about 6 or 7 players, and it can take easily about 3 hours to play. Now, Shadows over Camelot's a little bit different than the other games I've mentioned because it's co-op. You all play together to beat the game. You go on different quests, missions. Maybe you might want to send one person over on that mission where 3 others go on a mission over on the side that's harder or you need to beat quicker. And so you really play together. But the cool twist, and this is my favorite part, so when you draw your card to see which knight you're going to be, there's always one traitor card. Now, whether you're a knight or a traitor is completely secret. You cannot expose this. So the traitor wants to play the game as if he's a knight, but the traitor wants to be doing things that are counterproductive, which are kind of screwing over everybody in the meantime, but not doing it in a way where everybody knows it's you, because they can call you out. And if they call you out as a traitor, other things kind of happen in the game, which would make usually the traitor lose. But also as the traitor, you want to cast doubt on everybody else. So if someone makes kind of a stupid move or suggests something really stupid that's counterproductive, you're like, wait a second, that's kind of screwing us over. And you cast doubt on that player or other players so everybody else starts looking at them as the traitor and not on you. It throws this whole new dynamic to a tabletop type of game and a co-op type of game that there's always one of you that's the bad guy. So throughout the whole game, you're all trying to work together, but at the same time, no one is trusting one another because they know one of you is the traitor and one of you is trying to lose the game for everyone. It's awesome. I really recommend it. It is so much fun. It's even better if you're all drinking. I tend to get the traitor card a lot just by accident, and never once have I ever lost the game as the traitor. I'm a great traitor. What can I say? So, number 1, my favorite tabletop game of all time is Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror is another co-op game, and it's just amazing. It's so much fun. For me, it's best played with about 6 to 7 players, and it can take anywhere between 3 to 8 hours to play. I think we even had like a 9-hour session once, but that was a lot of people. Some of them had never played the game before, and we took like a lunch break in the middle. It can seriously take all freaking day, but it is such a good time. So like I said, it's a co-op game, but instead of a traitor, everybody's working together to defeat the final boss called the Ancient One. At the beginning of the game, players will choose between 16 different investigators. Each investigator has a different skill or a different power or bonus that is going to work differently for different people. Then during each game, you're moving around the board, you're trying to fight smaller monsters that are spawning, you are going to stores and you're collecting weapons, finding allies, spells, stuff like that that's really going to help you beat the final boss near the end. But one of the other main objectives during the game is you're trying to close portals that are opening up around the world. The game gets really hectic really quickly, especially depending on the difficulty of the Ancient One. There's portals opening and people are closing them, and they're getting stuck in the nether world, and there's monsters popping up, and then the further you go in the game, the more monsters pop up, and it just gets really, really fast paced really quickly, where like people are doing turns really quickly and they're yelling out what they're doing, and it's just chaotic, but so much fun at the same time. It's not an easy game at all. I played it over several dozen times, and I think we've only beat the game maybe 3 times. And that's with really experienced players that we've played this, we almost played it like every single weekend for months. Everybody has their different play styles, and you really have to work together to beat the Ancient One. And even if you don't beat the game, on those many, many times we didn't beat the game, it is still so much fun in between. It's hours and hours long, and again, it gets really, really hectic and really fast paced with what's going on. And the longer the game lasts, the more chaotic it gets, because the Ancient One grows more and more restless, and he's getting more powerful, and the more things that happen, and that opens up new aspects of the game that's going to be happening. There are tons of expansions for this game. I think it's number 1 on most people's tabletop games. It's a great game. I tell everybody they've got to check it out. It's so much fun. I really like the games that make you think and really strategize, and that's why I like a lot of the co-op games best, because then you're all kind of really getting into it, and everybody's talking about how they can do this and throwing out ideas and strategies, and everybody's just kind of flowing on the same page, and it's great. So much fun. But yeah, guys, that is my top 5 favorite tabletop games. What are some of your favorites? And give me some suggestions. Now that you guys know what I like, what are some other games I'd like? Yeah, give me some suggestions. I need more games to play. Well, guys, as always, thanks for watching. And I totally love you guys. Mwah!